From the depths of the forest to the doorstep of homes, giant wild boars are becoming increasingly aggressive and audacious. They swarm into residential areas, ravaging crops, attacking livestock, and even threatening human lives. Facing this lurking danger, seasoned hunters are always ready to venture into perilous territory to restore peace to the countryside. But this is no easy hunt. Wild boars are not only powerful, but also cunning beyond expectation. This time, who will fall? Follow the heart-pounding pursuit in our video today, where every step could be a fight for survival. First, join us in the snow-covered hills of the American West, a place of harsh weather, treacherous terrain, and massive, ferocious wild boars lurking beneath thick layers of snow. Today's hunt has been meticulously prepared. Rifles, thermal binoculars, flashlights, cold-resistant clothing, and enough supplies for hours of enduring the bone-chilling cold. After about 20 minutes of trekking across the mountainside, we suddenly encountered a herd of wild boars darting through the barren trees. I swiftly raised my rifle, locking my sights on one of the boars. The shot hit its mark, and the target collapsed to the ground. Seizing the moment, I quickly fired again. The second bullet flew true, striking another boar in the side, dropping it instantly lifeless and unable to fight back. At the same moment, on the adjacent hillside, my teammate was tracking a boar struggling through the thick snow. A sharp crack echoed as the shot hit its mark, sending the boar tumbling down the slope. The air fell eerily silent. Victory on the snowy hills belonged to the skilled hunter. Leaving the snow-covered mountains behind, join us on a journey to the southern United States, the dense oak forests of Texas, where wild boars gather in herds notorious for their ferocity and unpredictability. Before entering the forest, we double-check our gear. Hunting rifles, binoculars, daggers, walkie-talkies, and backup camping equipment. Everything is ready. A new terrain, a new challenge, and the hunt begins anew. Venturing into the dry Texas forest, we suddenly spotted a wild boar charging through a cluster of decayed trees. I raised my rifle and fired, but the first shot only grazed it. Not letting the chance slip, I swiftly repositioned, cutting off the boar's path. The second shot rang out, striking true into its flank. The beast collapsed, completely subdued. Continuing to track other prey, I quickly noticed a lone boar ahead. I raised my rifle, squeezed the trigger, and the bullet flew, hitting the target dead on. The boar crashed to the ground, utterly drained of strength to resist. From a clearing in the distance, I spotted another wild boar foraging for food. I instantly raised my rifle, and the bullet shot out with blazing speed, embedding itself into the beast's body. It leaped off the ground, tumbled a few times, then collapsed amid the dry leaves, silence before it could make a sound. Another target taken down. Not stopping there, After moving for about 10 minutes, amid the golden grass, a dark shadow silently emerged from the edge of the forest, seemingly scouting for food. I quietly raised my rifle, adjusted my aim, and fired. The sharp crack of the shot echoed as the bullet tore through the air, striking the beast's head. It froze, then collapsed onto the bed of decayed leaves. The hunt concluded, and once again, victory did not belong to the wild. The pursuit of these formidable creatures ended with precise, thrilling shots. Seasoned hunters showcased their prowess against the stubborn evasion of the boar herd. The entire expedition strictly adhered to legal hunting regulations in permitted areas.
Kayo.
In Bulgaria, particularly in the temperate forest regions interspersed with grasslands and farms in the north, wild boars have long been a source of distress for the local population. Not only do they destroy crops, but they also cause severe damage to the natural ecosystem. The increasingly serious situation has forced locals to resort to extreme measures, such as setting up electric fences around their gardens, or even hiring professional hunting teams to track and trap the wild boars. Despite trying many methods, the wild boar population here has never shown a significant decline. And so today, once again, we pick up our rifles and head out to hunt. After a quick breakfast, we led the hunting dogs around the back of the farm. Freshly harvested cornfields are always a feast that lures the wild boars down from the hills. I figured this was a prime spot for an ambush, surely a big catch today. Sure enough, less than half an hour into our wait, a large herd of boars suddenly burst out from a patch of dry corn. Excited, I couldn't help myself. I raised my rifle and pulled the trigger. The startled herd scattered across the field. The biggest, fattest one appeared to be hit, injured, and lagging behind. The hounds quickly surrounded it, leaving it no chance to escape. At that point, all I had to do was walk over and finish the job with one clean shot. Our first trophy of the day was in hand. After that thrilling encounter, we moved to the other side of the field. This area hadn't been harvested yet. Lush green grass stretched out to the horizon. With such clear visibility, it was ideal for another ambush. From a raised mound, I scanned the area and quickly spotted a new target. I raised my rifle, calmly tracked its movement, waited for the perfect moment, and fired. The bullet hit the hind leg. The boar slid across the grass and came to a stop. Success after success kept the whole team energized. Even though it was nearly noon and the sun was beating down on the field, no one felt tired. This time, we decided to hide behind a corn bush. Jake and I got into position, gripping our rifles tightly and waiting patiently. There it was, a fat wild boar slowly wandered in less than 10 meters from our spot. It paused, seemingly sensing danger from the barrel aimed straight at it. But we didn't waste a second. A few rapid shots rang out. The boar was hit, but still tried to flee. I couldn't let it escape. I quickly fired a few more rounds, and finally it collapsed in the middle of the field. What unfolded before me was an astonishing sight. A herd of several dozen wild boars stormed past like a black whirlwind, kicking up clouds of dust and leaving behind that pungent, musky scent of the wild. Gunfire erupted across the field, and in the chaos, a few boars didn't make it out. Early in the afternoon, we split up to scout more targets. I rode my motorbike around the wheat fields. Suddenly, a dark figure moved among crops. I hit the throttle and gave chase. But in my excitement, I rushed it. I tried firing one-handed while riding and kept missing. By the time I stopped the bike, the boar had vanished, leaving me frustrated but still adrenaline charged. Just when we thought the hunt was over, Jake and I were driving back to base when, out of nowhere, a pitch-black boar dashed across the road ahead. Instinct kicked in. We stopped and raised our rifles. Jake fired first, but missed. I fired right after, trying to keep steady. This time, the shot landed. The boar flipped over and thrashed about at the field's edge. The golden light of sunset stretched across the distant treetops. We sat by the truck, laughing and chatting. More boars had been taken down, but what lingered most were the heart-pounding chases, the decisive shots, and even the near misses across the wild plains. What did you think of our hunt? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling hunts to come.
me, this trip was more than just a regular hunt. It was a life or death mission. Although I fought, trained, and faced countless dangers during my time in the military, I've never encountered a creature as tough and persistent as the wild boars. That's why, in today's hunt, this swamp environment became a true battlefield. Holding my rifle tightly, I understood one thing clearly. Every decision, every shot must be precise. One bullet, one life. That's the only rule I needed to follow. Swamp-dwelling wild boars not only destroy the ecosystem but also cause immeasurable damage to the surrounding environment. They wade through wetland areas, disrupt plant life, and tear up rice fields and gardens. Especially in the swamp, wild boars can easily hide and escape, making them incredibly difficult to pursue. Compared to land hunting, hunting wild boars in the swamp requires us to move more slowly and patiently, or risk slipping or losing our bearings. The swamp, a challenging environment, is ironically the perfect place for wild boars to hide, especially in murky mud pools or thick vegetation. During the journey through the swamp, we constantly battled strong currents and had to duck under tangled branches to keep the boat from crashing. Eventually, a small boat brought us to a completely unfamiliar area. Suddenly, one of my teammates spotted the silhouette of a large wild boar. Without hesitation, we climbed ashore and fired as soon as we saw it. The boar collapsed after a single shot. Soon after, we locked onto our next target, a giant boar weighing up to 120 kilograms. It was clear that this land was the ideal habitat for these monstrous wild pigs. That afternoon, I traveled alone down the river. The current had calmed since the morning. From a distance, I spotted my first target, a boar soaking in the mud. I carefully approached. Just as it stood up to flee, I took my shot and brought it down within seconds. Muddy wetlands like this are never short of boar activity. A fully grown wild boar was sunbathing nearby. It sensed danger and started to run, but my two quick shots ended that escape for good. Spotting a boar trying to escape, I stopped the boat and set up an ambush to cut it off. It panicked and turned to flee in the opposite direction, but it was too late. The gunshots echoed through the empty swamp, ending its escape. Leaving the forest and heading downstream to return, I noticed small muddy patches, clear signs that boars had passed through. I moved in and there it was. Without hesitation, I pulled the trigger. The wild boar let out one agonizing cry before collapsing. With success in hand, I headed home, tension and satisfaction mixing after a challenging day in the swamp. After a night's rest, we were back at the swamp early in the morning. Wild boar tracks were visible all over the soft ground, deep prints showing where they had passed. We followed the tracks, and suddenly the dogs began barking, signaling the prey was near. I approached cautiously. As the black silhouette emerged, I seized the moment and pulled the trigger. Wow, just look at it, a massive wild boar with coarse fur and razor-sharp tusks. Our next target that day was a group of tenacious boars hiding in a swamp near a residential area. It didn't take long. The airboat brought us right to the first target. We immediately launched our attack, giving the boars no chance to react. They scattered in panic in every direction, trying to escape, but there was no getting away from our determined pursuit. Our hunting results kept piling up, and with every step, it became clear this hunt was not only tactical but also a test of patience and determination in our effort to control the wild boar population. Time flew by, and before we knew it, evening had fallen, but the battle wasn't over yet. Our agile hunting dogs led us to another wild boar. I moved in and, without hesitation, fired a decisive shot. The target dropped instantly. The dogs were outstanding today. Once again, they guided us to another boar. I quickly aimed and fired. The boar didn't even have time to react. It fell without a sound. It seems my skills have improved a lot through these hunting trips. These precise, decisive shots are not only the result of experience, but also the perfect blend of keen observation, patience, and refined tactics. Thank you for following this journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel.
I couldn't sit still any longer when I saw my fields being ravaged by wild boars. Every time they came through, my family's entire harvest was wiped out. All the effort and care invested for more than half a year went down the drain. And this wasn't just my problem. The whole village, even the entire region in Georgia, was suffering because the wild boar population was becoming increasingly rampant. So, when I heard about a local hunting trip being organized, I decided to join. Not just for my own fields, but to help stop the spread of this invasive species. We arrived at the forest edge early in the morning. In front of us stretched a wide clearing covered in young grass, dotted with a few low shrubs. The air was fresh and pleasantly cool. Everyone was eager to begin the hunt. After about half an hour lying in ambush under a tree, the first target of the day emerged and immediately entered my sights. I gripped my rifle tightly, waiting for the moment it slowed its pace, then decisively pulled the trigger. A precise shot brought the wild boar down on the spot. A smoother start couldn't be hoped for. Elsewhere, my friend Michael and his team also spotted a small wild boar. Perhaps sensing the lurking danger, it hurriedly fled. Although Michael reacted quickly, unfortunately his bullet missed the target, allowing the prey to escape by a narrow margin. The whole team started moving deeper into the dense forest filled with tangled shrubs. At this point, the hunting dogs were released to track the wild boar scent. These four-legged friends were as sharp as owls and never disappointed me. Shortly after, a boar was driven out of the bushes by the dogs. Seizing a moment, I raised my gun, aimed straight, and pulled the trigger. The boar was hit and fell down right in front of the bush. A clean shot. By noon, the hunt inside the forest was still lively. Suddenly, a series of dog barks erupted from the trees ahead. I immediately became alert, straining to listen. Amidst the barking was the rustling of dry leaves. The wild boars were approaching. I gripped my gun tightly, ready to shoot. Here they come, not just one, but a whole herd. Seizing the opportunity, I fired continuously. The boars scattered in panic behind the bushes. Amid the chaotic scene, a few boars lay fallen. After a short lunch break, the hunt continued, this time in the low hills behind the forest. I chose a high vantage point for ambush, my eyes fixed on the open space ahead. Time seemed to freeze, and when a dark figure appeared through the bushes, I pulled the trigger without hesitation. Bang! Dust flew everywhere, but the boar was not hit. What a pity. Well, I'll wait for another chance. The day is still long. Moving to a barren land with no green trees, I stared intently. Then the chance for revenge came. A wild boar appeared. Although the shot was from quite a distance, I decided to take the risk. Looking through the scope, holding my breath, and gently squeezing the trigger. A precise shot, the boar collapsed. Even so, I could still hear my heart pounding in my chest. Such narrow victories always bring a breathless and satisfying feeling. Just as expected, another pitch-black wild boar appeared, busily rooting through the soil, completely unaware of the danger lurking nearby. It seemed like it would be an easy shot. I calmly raised my rifle, took careful aim, and pulled the trigger. But the bullet only grazed the animal's back, startling it and sending it bolting away. Today's hunt ends here, though there were some missed shots that left a touch of regret. The thrill of stalking, pulling the trigger, and those heart-pounding moments remain unforgettable experiences. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to follow more thrilling hunts.